So about 3 days ago, a letter came out from prominent Afrikaans-speaking people in South Africa speaking on my behalf. I'm not a fan of people speaking on my behalf, even if those people make sense. In this instance, I'm little less a fan of it because the people in question absolutely does not speak for me. At the time when this article came out, I was busy with other things. There were far more important articles and news stories coming out in the country, so I'm getting around to it now. Let's be clear. These people who speak in this letter, and if you go through the list here, it's a bunch of ivory tower elite media personalities and professors from universities that I don't care about. I do thank News24, however, for posting these names. It's always interesting and also necessary to know thy enemy. Know exactly who it is you're fighting. I find something incredibly interesting about this letter. And it is sort of the same thing I found interesting after Donald Trump, or President Donald Trump, started to speak about how Afrikaner people should receive amnesty or refugee status in America. And that is the immeasurable amount of people in South Africa that were offended by this. Let's just quickly run through the ANC's stance on Afrikaners. The ANC, in every single political decision that they make, they don't want Afrikaners. The EFF does not want Afrikaners. They want to pass laws and continuously push for laws that remove Afrikaners' ability to actually compete within the economy. Whenever an Afrikaner builds a business, they want to take that business and they want that Afrikaner to share his wealth with literally everyone else in the country. Whenever the Afrikaners get around to building their own university, there are threats of expropriation and that this is racist. When the Afrikaners build their own town, there are threats of expropriation and calls that this is racist. The ANC has made themselves very clear on this issue. They don't want Afrikaans-speaking people in the country. You look at the supporters of the EFF and the ANC on social media, specifically on social media, and it is very clear that they don't want Afrikaans-speaking people in this country. And yet, when the President of the United States, President Donald Trump, offers Afrikaners refugee status in America, they are the first people to criticize the white Afrikaners for actually leaving. What baffles me about this is you don't want these people in your country. You don't want these people to succeed in your country. You hate them for the success that they have achieved. And yet, when they will no longer be your problem because they will actually leave the country never to return again, now you're angry again? Like, what is the anger now? You are getting what you wanted in the first place. They will leave their houses, their cars, their businesses, everything here in South Africa, and they will go abroad, where they will become America's problem or America's boon, dependent on. It appears to me that looking at these elites in the white community, as well as the blacks on social media, it's not about racial justice. It's not about righting the wrongs of the past. You read through this letter and it's like throwing up over leftism. It's literally leftist talking points start to finish. So no question there about who the people are that actually co-signed the letter. But when you read through it, it's filled with arguments about how we're fixing South Africa. And this is about fixing the racial injustices of the past. But really what it is the punishment of white people, and specifically white Afrikaners, at the hands of whites that hate themselves and hate their cultures. You have people like Max du Preez, for example, who is part of this. Max du Preez has been a prominent hater of Afrikaners literally for decades now. This man despises his own shadow. He despises his culture. He despises his people, which is fine, right? He's more than welcome to do so. But when your people are finally leaving and you don't have to worry anymore, why pen this letter? Why is this such a big problem? You know, they make the argument here that it risks alienating Afrikaners from their fellow brothers here in South Africa. What, unlike the laws of the ANC that alienates white people consistently, unlike Julius Malema that sings "kill the boer, kill the farmer," Does that not alienate white Afrikaners in South Africa? And yet you won't find a letter by these prominent elite white Afrikaners about how Julius Malema shouldn't be singing his song. No, when he sings his song, that's just fixing the past. I'm sorry, but then you look at the ANC, who also replied to this, and the ANC goes, those freedom-loving South Africans recognize that unity being forged in our country is essential to building a non-racial, non-sexist, democratic, and prosperous South Africa. They affirm that nation-building requires honesty about our painful past and a shared commitment to redressing the deep inequalities caused by centuries of oppression. No, the deep inequalities in South Africa are caused by you, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa, and the members of the ANC. You have caused this. You've had 30 years to fix it. I don't buy that this is still due to the racist past of this country. I'm not diminishing the effects that apartheid had on people who died 30 years ago. I'm not diminishing even the racist past of South Africa and the effects that it had on people who died 20 years ago. But if you're a black kid who was born after 1994, apartheid is not the reason why you can't find a job right now. Apartheid is not the reason why you're living in Soweto in a shack. That is the ANC. Look to the ANC for the blame that they thoroughly deserve. And then let's just talk very quickly, and I'm going a bit sort of frantic here. Let's just talk very quickly about this idea of redressing the past. What redress would you like white people to partake in? I'm curious. Even if you unemployed all white people and gave all of those jobs to black people, 25 million black people would still be unemployed in South Africa. Even if you closed every single white business in South Africa tomorrow and made it illegal for white people to work, 25 million black people would still be poor, unemployed, without homes, without anything. So what exactly do you think you can take from white people and give to black people that will somehow make black people's lives better? It will not happen. So the idea that these prominent leftist Afrikaners are going to speak on my behalf about fixing the racial injustices of the past, no. It is not my job to fix the racial injustices of the past. There is not a single nation on this earth that did not experience some kind of injustice throughout its history. The Romans famously enslaved and butchered the British. When the Romans left, it was the barbarians from the Germanic tribes that butchered and enslaved the British. And they stood up in spite of this. They didn't cry about how unfair this was. They stood up and they became one of the greatest empires this world has ever seen. The Irish were taken as slaves to America. Today, they're some of the most successful Americans you'll find in America. Chinese were literally oppressed and forced out of the economy in America 30 years ago, and yet today they're one of the most prosperous people in America. So the idea that this is somehow our fault and that this is a special kind of evil that was visited upon a special kind of people is nonsense. Every people everywhere on this earth has gone through this. My own people spent 2 full wars fighting the British taking my own people's women and children, throwing them in concentration camps, mixing glass into their porridge, and almost driving my people to genocide. Did we cry after that? Did we scream to the world that we need to redress the past? No. We got up, we stood up, and we started working. Because what else is there actually to do? You can't keep crying, you can't keep playing the victim. This is just how it works. And for News24, who seems to think that this is some big gotcha, there's a petition right now on change.org that already has 4,731 signatures. In our name, thank you, President Trump. These are actual Afrikaners pushing back and saying, look, News24, you don't speak for me. And to these prominent Afrikaners, please understand that you do not speak for me. I do not view you as one of my own. I do not claim you. You don't get to speak for me. You didn't ask me if you have the right to do so. If anything, I don't even view you as Afrikaner. Anyone with half a brain, everyone who can think for themselves, recognize that what is happening in South Africa is evil. It should not be allowed, and what the ANC is doing is racist. What I can't quite understand is why there's so many of you that despise the fact that white people like myself are no longer interested in being blamed for things that we had no party to, and why when people like myself decide to leave the country on invite from President Trump, I didn't leave the country, just FYI, but I am talking about people who have. Why is that such a big issue for you? Is it because you and you alone want to be the one to punish what you view as the racist, evil white people, and you hate the fact that someone is saving the white people from your scorn? I think that's far more likely. The people on this list should be ashamed. They should be shunned by the community, and if you know any of these people on this list, it would probably be good for you to completely distance yourself from them. They should be declared persona non grata because that is what they are. They are not worthy of being your friends, your neighbors, or your family members. They are evil and should be deemed as such, alongside their handlers in the ANC, the EFF, and the MK. If you want to lick the boots of the racists in the union buildings, go right ahead. I shall not be joining you on that little adventure. As always, ladies and gentlemen, let me know in the comment section down below what your thoughts are on these prominent white Afrikaners and their letter to President Donald Trump. Massive shout out to all of the patrons as well as the YouTube channel members for continuing to support this channel. I very much appreciate you, especially when it comes to videos like this one. To become a patron, link in the description down below, or join button right below this video. Hit the like if you liked the dislike if you didn't, and I will see all of you in the next one. Peace.